NPCs. We've all heard this term. Whether it's a meme, whether it's actually coming across an NPC in a video game, whatever it might be, we always heard like, oh, this person's an NPC, or you're just an NPC, or look at all those NPCs. Some people might refer to them as sheep. Some people might refer to them as just brain dead, whatever you want to talk about. But all of us growing up played video games, and there was always those non-playable characters. People walking around, in the game, whether you were playing GTA, whether you were playing, Call of Duty campaigns, whether you're playing RPGs, whatever it may be. We've all experienced what we'd like to call NPCs. And quite frankly, I feel like most people are running around as an NPC. I mean, I feel like most people are running on a mental operating system that was installed without their permission, right? Maybe they didn't even realize it. And it's almost like a preloaded software on a new phone, right? It comes from the school system. It comes from parents, the media they see, societal norms, whatever it may be. People just are NPCs, right? They follow what they're told to do, and it's almost like they were programmed. Like, the way I could describe it is, you ever like have a conversation with someone and a certain person comes up, right? Whether it's Trump or whether it's like some political figure or some famous person, right? And they're like, oh, like I hate that person, or like they have a preconditioned reaction to something, right? And this happens a lot, whether it's with politics, whether it's with the whole dating, men versus women stuff, whether it's with the whole situation going on in the Middle East, and things like that, with Israel, Iran, all that stuff. People have a preconditioned response to certain things, and I think if I could narrow down what an NPC is, or what a quote unquote sheep is, it's someone who has a preconditioned response to something, right? Like if I come across someone at a restaurant or at a mall or just in public or even online, whatever it may be, right? If I'm talking to someone and they let's say they don't agree with like certain political views I have, right? Let's just say that they have different opinions. Like I'm not like an NPC. I'm not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that." I get like all butthurt about it. There's certain things that people could take too far, yes, but at the end of the day, like I'm not going to judge anyone until I have a conversation with them. And even then, like, even if we disagree about certain things, unless they're telling me the sky's like purple or something, I'm not going to necessarily like get all worked up about it. Like, people have a right to think what they want. I think that's the point I'm trying to get at here, is like, just because someone, sees the world slightly differently than you doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a negative reaction towards them. And obviously there's lines, right? Like, I mean, if someone came on here and said some crazy stuff like, I want to, commit some crazy crime, like obviously, you might be justified in saying something there. But the point I'm trying to make is most people are preconditioned to have a response to something. And I do think this is like one of the things that you have to unlearn. One of the bad habits that society taught us, or one of the things that you have to unlearn as a quote unquote someone who's trying to break free from the programming, is you have to unlearn the things that society, or the quote unquote societal norms that people tell you, right? And first we need to I guess analyze and extrapolate where they came from, right? So where do they come from? Societal norms comes from parents, comes from school, comes from media, whether it's radio, TV shows, movies. Maybe music is a perfect one. You know how many times people just listen to music blindly and you don't necessarily think anything from it, right? I mean, I've said this, I've been saying this for years. I've probably been saying this since 2016, man. Like, I've been saying this for almost 10 years now. Like, I've known this, but music definitely affects you. 100%. I don't care what anyone says. Like, if you listen, and by the way, I love prime rap, like prime Lil Wayne, Drake, all that stuff. But if you're listening to this rap constantly, talking about like effing bitches and, doing drugs and shooting gang, all that type of shit, like it does rub off on you. And not in a good way. And that's just the truth. And same thing with other types of music. Like, for instance, like I listen to EDM, electronic dance music, and I like EDM. I think it's good music, but I've noticed I think it's actually made my attention span worse because I'm constantly listening to this music that's doing these like crazy beat drops and like these like, loud noises. It's like it can't be good to listen to that constantly, right? So you have to unlearn and be cognizant of all these things that society pushes on you, right? I mean, even think of TV shows, right? Like, why do you think that lots of men feel like crap? Let's analyze that. Why do you think they feel like crap? Well, quite frankly, they're put in a world that's very hard to find, let's say, a good woman to have kids with and have them, have a happy relationship, because both sides are being pulled in so many different directions, and both sides are telling each other that, like, oh, men are, like, people are saying, oh, men are bad, and, like, people are saying, oh, women are bad. And then, on top of that, you have a society where you can watch any TV show, whether it's Modern Family, whether it's Family Guy, like, pretty much any show, they make the dad and the father of the family, they make him look like an idiot. Which, trust me, like, I think Peter Griffin's hilarious, and I think Family Guy's hilarious, but I'm just telling you, like, this is literally how it is. They make the dad look like an idiot, right? Stupid, fat, overweight, doesn't know anything, and they make the woman feel like, or seem like she knows everything. And I think this is done on purpose. I really do. And I think, like, you have to unlearn all the things that were pushed on us as kids, right? Being a pushover, happy wife, happy life. The girl's always right. Go to college, you get 100K in debt, you get a good job, right? Just listen to this music. There's no harm in it. Watch this, play with this Ouija board, or like, freaking watch this show, or, it's just do this, take this drug in high school that came from some dude who says it's quote unquote the good stuff. But you don't even know what's in it, right? Like, there's so many things that people just blindly do, and they don't ever question where it comes from. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make in this video. It's not even necessarily like you shouldn't listen to music, or you shouldn't do this or do that. I'm not even necessarily saying that, but I'm just saying you should question where stuff comes from and question the thought process behind why you do or don't like something, right? If someone says, like, I see this all the time. I've had this happen to me with my family or with whatever. I was talking to my girl about, going on a cruise and stuff, and I was telling her about, like, certain cruise wanting to book, and she said something like, I was talking about, like, one of the cruises and where it goes. It was like it went to like a couple different islands or something, and one of them was like this one place in Mexico, and then I remember my mom was there, and she was like, oh, like, yeah, but you got to be careful. Mexico is, like, it's dangerous. I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, you've never even been there. You're just saying it's dangerous because you've been preconditioned to say that because other people have said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, like, yes, are there dangerous places in Mexico? Sure. There's also dangerous places in America. Every major city is dangerous to an extent. So it's just like, I'm using this as an example where people just say things and they don't even, like, analyze it. Same thing with the water. I was having a conversation with someone, and he was talking about, we were talking about, like, traveling to Asia or something like that, or going to Thailand, and we were talking about the water and, like, how clean the water was, and the guy was like, oh, make sure you're bringing water bottles because, like, I've heard the water isn't clean. Like, what? Bro, the water isn't clean in your own local town. Like, you can literally look up what's in your tap water in any town in America. It's not healthy. So, like people say these things because they're so programmed to freaking believe it. And it's just, like, it honestly pisses me off a lot of times because, like, you don't even, like, think about the things you're saying. You just say it and roll with it. And that's one thing that I guess, like, really grinds my gears. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. So just to kind of relate this to myself, I'll give you a good example of what I mean by, like, analyzing things, or, like, not just, saying stuff to say stuff. So I grew up in a traditional Christian conservative household. My mom and dad were conservatives. They've always voted red, things like that. We grew up going to church every Sunday. And, like, I'm still a Christian to this day, for sure. But one thing that I think people get wrong is they identify as, like, oh, I'm a conservative, or oh, I'm a Democrat, or oh, I'm a Republican. Like, listen, I believe in truth, and I have beliefs about certain things. I believe in doing the right thing. But at the end of the day, like it's God and Christ before anything else. And, you know, like for instance, the reason I bring this up is like, I don't say, oh, I'm a conservative or, oh, I'm this. I say, hey, I think these things which tend to lean more towards conservative values, but if conservatives changed or if this happened, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm just going to blindly follow them because of, oh, that's what we've always done, right? I don't like that style of thinking. I really don't. Like, I think you should definitely have allies and like, you know, you can gravitate towards something, but you shouldn't act like a cult where like, you know, everything you do is just because this is what this group does. You see this in sports all the time. Like there are grown men getting in fights in parking lots over like sports teams. Like, bro, like go home. Like you have like a wife and kids and you're fighting some dude in a parking lot over a fucking hockey game. Like, bro, you're a loser. Like straight up. Like that stuff is so stupid. And like, I'm sorry if I offend anyone by saying this, but like it's okay to like sports. I'm not saying it's not, but like do not be fighting people over sports, bro. Like it ain't that deep. Right? The players don't even know you're alive, right? So it's like dude, like it's not that deep, you know? And I do think there's a cost of blind acceptance. When people blindly accept, you know, following this team or following this political party or following this way of thinking, I do believe the cost of that is lost potential, right? Whether you're trapped in a job, you're trapped in a relationship, you're trapped in a mindset that doesn't fit, you know, and mental health struggles from trying to conform to impossible expectations. Like you have this scenario where people want to believe so hard in something because it's always like that, but they've never once like even considered there's another way of thinking. Like another example of this is, you know, basically, so I had a paid off truck for like a long time. Like I bought a truck, a Silverado, and I paid it off in like 3 years. And I drove a paid off vehicle for like probably a couple of years. And then I recently traded it in and bought a new truck. But, you know, I have a payment again, but it's still pretty low because like I was able to put a good amount of money down. I had full equity in my last truck. So like my payment's only like a couple $100. But I was telling my parents this and I was like, yeah, like I can't wait to pay this one off because I hate having a car payment. And they're like, well, that's just part of adulting. Every adult has a car payment. I'm just thinking to myself, no, you're wrong. That's just the fucking way of thinking that y'all were raised in. That is not true. Have you ever thought maybe there's a world out there where you don't have a car payment? You ever thought maybe there's a world out there where you can invest $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month? Have you ever thought maybe there's a world out there where you don't have to be stuck in this job, or you don't have to like necessarily do this thing? Like maybe there's a world out there where you can have a great job that you love, make a lot of money, have a paid off vehicle, have a paid off house one day, and actually save and actually invest and be able to enjoy your life. Like maybe that reality is out there. And I think that was one of the critical, I say, moments of my life is like just realizing that like literally like the society just puts these blinders on you like a horse. You know, the only reason I know this is because like my girl like works at a horse barn, but you know, like how this horse like put blinders on, you know, when they race and stuff. It's literally what society does, is they put these blinders on you and they tell you that, you know, you raise your hand when you have a question and you sit still and you get up when the bell rings and you do what we say. They're literally conditioning you in real time. I mean, back in the day, like kids were like running outside and like hunting and stuff like that, and now it's just like we just blindly accept everything as normal. You know, oh, let's take God out of the schools. Oh yeah, let's push all this pride stuff. Oh yeah, that's totally normal. Like it's not normal. And honestly, like if any of this offends you, I'm sorry, but like it's not normal and it's not okay. I do think us as people, whether you're 16 years old watching this, whether you're 35, whatever it may be, my advice would just be just to question everything, not be annoying about it. I'm not saying you got to be like, like have everyone, fact check you or site check everything. I'm not saying that, but you should become an observer of your own thoughts and an observer of what society is telling you, right? I would encourage you guys to ask, like, who told me this and why do I believe it, right? Start unlearning bad habits. Start unlearning that you have to work this job, or you can't ever have a debt-free life, or you can't ever get in shape because you have bad genetics, or you can't put on size in the gym because it's just tough for you. You know what I'm saying? Or you have to side with this political party because your parents did, or like because the other one's evil. Like just always consider both sides. A really good point I'll make here to kind of wrap this up is, so I don't know if you guys have ever watched Star Wars, but I actually kind of like this story. So the fall of Anakin Skywalker, let's talk about it. So just so you guys are aware, I'm not necessarily saying I side with Anakin. Like I Obi-Wan's like my favorite Jedi, and I do think that the Jedi were quote unquote the good guys. And I don't think that Anakin was necessarily in the right. I'm not saying that. However, when you do, watch the movies, read the books, things like that, you'll notice that like you gotta see both sides from every story, right? You had Anakin, who was one of the most powerful Jedi of all time, if not had the most potential. He defeated many people, and he played a very big part in defending against the Separatists in the war, and they just wouldn't make him master, and they also were like trying to like make him not be able to be with the woman he loved, and bro just crashed out. They didn't trust him, and bro crashed out, like straight up. And obviously he went about it in the wrong way, but I guess part of me gets it. You know what I mean? Like you just think about stuff from both sides, right? So what I would encourage people who listen to this is, when you come across a news story, or you come across like yourself doing something in real time, whether that's just constantly pulling out your phone even though no one's texting you, whether that's like not being able to sit still, whether that's like hating this person or this influencer, or whether that's like thinking that you don't have more potential than you actually do, I would just encourage you to really question where that belief is coming from, and then try to neutralize it. Because I'm telling you guys, there's a life out there that you can live, and there's another version of you that you can become, but you just need to unlearn the bad habits and stick to the good ones. If you stuck around this far, I appreciate it. This style of video is more of like kind of a rant. Just wanted to kind of talk on a whim here and really give you my thoughts of what I was thinking about today. But if this resonated at all, if this is something where, hey, like, I kind of agree with some of the stuff you're saying, drop a comment below. Like maybe what's one thing that you had to unlearn, or one bad habit that society pushed on you that you had to unlearn. I'd like to hear about it more. And if there's any topics in particular that you guys would want me to, rant about, give you my insight about, or more of a strategy call about, whatever it may be, definitely drop it in the comments. I like to read them all and consider all video topic ideas. So I appreciate it, guys. As you know, if you ever want to talk to me personally, there's a link in the description to book a call with me. If not, send me an email. Either way is fine. And look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.